What's up guys, ATCG here, welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck of the Day, and today we're profiling the newest deck that came out from Chaos Impact, and I'm talking about the Unchained archetype, previously known as Hakai in the OCG, and this is a deck that had a lot of rarity improvement, I would say, from the OCG. I don't know why Konami decided to make 4 secrets for this archetype, but it's a really fun deck if you can afford to build it. It's not the most competitive deck in the world, but I'm pretty sure it is pretty good. It's good enough to be able to compete in not like a local or regional level, and we might get more support that makes the deck more powerful. But for now, I think this is the most optimal way to play the build, and I've combined it with another archetype to make use of its distraction advantages. So let's start with 3 Unchained Twins Aroha. This card lets you special summon from the hand by popping a card in your field, so it utilizes all of the effects, and if it's destroyed, you can special summon an Unchained from your hand or deck, so they have a lot of floating ability. You rarely neg yourself with this deck because no matter what what gets destroyed on your side, you will get a card to replace it. And the way this deck works is kind of like a link during your opponent's turn with your opponent's monster, or during your turn with your opponent's monster. So you basically build advantage over that and keep link climbing to your stronger Unchained link monsters. Next up, 3 Twins Raka. Raka has a quick effect. You can target one card you control, destroy it, and it prevents you from summoning any fiends. And if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon again one Unchained from your hand or deck. So again, you can pretty much tutor whatever you want from your deck. It does lock you into fiends, which prevents you from summoning some monsters from your extra deck, but it only prevents special summoning other than fiends, which has synergy with the other part of the deck I will mention in a bit. But still, I think you need to max out on both the twins because they are the normal summons of the deck, and since they are level 3 fiends, they have synergy with one more card. And the last Unchained monster is Soul of Disaster. This card, you cannot summon it if you draw it, so you have to pop another card in order to summon it. That's why I don't think it's worth running at 3. But it's a really good card because you can link with your opponent's monsters, and you summon a Dark Link monster. It doesn't say a chain monster, it says Dark Link monster, so there are a few more options you can do. And if it's destroyed, you can special summon Unchained from your graveyard, so it gives you recovery to the deck. It's 3000 defense, it's 0 attack, but it gains some attack for each Unchained card in your graveyard. But I don't think it can get that big, but it could be big enough in order to deal some damage. But I think 2 is the correct number. Next up, 1 Tour Guide. Both the twins are level 3 fiends, so you can special summon them from the deck with Tour Guide. And since the first turn, if your opponent has nothing on the field, you need some kind of combo pieces in order to link climb. But Tour Guide can be a 1-card combo in order to link summon Soul of Rage, which is a link 2 that helps you during your opponent's main phase to link summon with their monsters. So it's kind of a disruption. So that's why I think Tour Guide is a really good card for the deck. And it doesn't have that many original normal summons. With Tour Guide, that's just 7. And all the Unchains can be special summoned from the deck. So I think Tour Guide is a really good card to start. I know it's at 1, but if you see it, then you can have a very big opening play. Now, I'm playing through Draco in the deck. I think it's the engine that helps the deck utilize its advantages of getting destroyed the most. And also being extra normal summons can actually be very crucial for the deck, because not only does it not contradict with the restriction of special summoning any fiends, but it also helps you push for damage because the deck usually has 1 link monster out, and the problem is sealing out the game. So with 1 Dynamite, you can get all your traps, 2 Ignis to get your spells, and 2 Majesty Maiden to get your monsters. I don't think you need more. It's not a pure Draco deck. They're not that important, but they're still pretty good, but they can clog you, especially the monsters. So I think this ratio is very important for the deck, but not in more copies, just to make sure you don't brick. And the last monster is 3 Nibiru. This deck can use your opponent's token to link with it, so it's not like it struggles dealing with a token no matter how big it is. So I think Nibiru is a good card because this deck struggles with dealing with a lot of monsters, really good against control decks that usually have 1 monster out, but combo decks you cannot deal with them, so that's why I think Nibiru is really good in the main deck for this deck. Moving on to the spells. 3 Abomination's Prison. This card searches, and if it's destroyed, you special summon one from the deck. So you pick what you want to do with it. If you need to search an Unchained card, then what you do If you already have what you need, just set it and pop it, and you special summon from the deck. A lot of cards do that, so you can gain this effect a lot of times. So you can special summon a lot of monsters on the field. So this deck can link climb into any link monster very easily, depending on your hand, of course. But still, the potential is still there. Next up, 2 Wailing of the Unchained Souls. This card helps you clear boards. If you link summon an Unchained, then you can destroy a card on the field. And again, if it's destroyed, you special summon Unchained from your deck. But the problem with these cards is they have to be set and destroyed. So you can it's not like you can activate it, pop a card with its first effect, then pop it to special summon from the deck. You have to pick one or the other. But again, depending on what you need, if you want to have this card on the field and keep popping cards, or if you want to set it to get a monster from the deck, you can get both. So that's pretty much how you work with this deck. And the best card to pop cards, of course, Dragonic Diagram. As long as this card is still a 3, we're going to use it in so many different decks that need to pop their own cards, and 1 Terraforming to get the diagram so you can get all your True Draco cards. For the True Draco spells, True Draco Heritage, 3 of them. All the True Draco monsters can be extra normal summon with the spells, so it's not like they contradict with the reliance of Unchained in their normal summon if you don't have a way to pop your own cards. And of course, Heritage is the one that lets you draw cards depending on how many True Draco types of cards have gone from the field to the graveyard this turn. And 3 Disciples. Disciples helps you recover your cards. I think you still play enough True Draco cards in order for this to be live most of the time. So it's not a bad thing to have it at 3. And of course, it's another card that gives you the extra normal summon, so you can get more monsters on the field and try to push for game. Now for the traps, 3 Escape of the Unchained. This card, it's like 2-pronged attack. It pops 1 card in your field and 1 card in your opponent's field. It pops an Unchained monster, so it has synergy with their effects that if they're destroyed, they get a special summon. And of course, it has the exact same effect. If this set card is destroyed, you get special summon Unchained from the deck. All cards have that, so you can use this effect multiple times. This card is a disruption of the deck. It's searchable with Abomination, so I don't think you need to play more than 2 because there you can only use its effect once per turn. So it is a card that can clog. So I think 2 is really good because the disruption of the deck usually is the trap card, the effect of the Unchained to link with your opponent's monsters, or the True Draco traps to contribute them during your opponent's turn and pop monsters. Next up, Abominable Chamber, 2 of. This special summon 1 from your hand or grave, and if it's destroyed, you can special summon 1 from the deck. So it's a card that special summons more monsters. It helps you fill the board, and if you don't want the effect, usually you can use it early. Just set it, pop it, get a monster from the deck, get it going, and it's a good card during the late game to give you more monsters on the field. 3 True Draco Apocalypse. I think this card is the better trap card now. True King's Return is kind of weird because it locks you into not being able to special summon, so the effect is not that relevant unless used during your opponent's end phase, but even then you might have summoned during your opponent's turn, so you won't be able to do that. So even if Return was at 3, I don't think you wouldn't need round 3, but Apocalypse is a much better card because it helps you clear boards by popping your other spells or traps, so you can pop monsters, cut attack in half, and of course help you tribute summon during your opponent's turn. And 1 Return. It's at 1, but I'm not sure I would run 3 even if it was at 3, maybe 2, but being at 1 doesn't hurt the deck at all. It's just another way to attribute summon during your opponent's turn, so it's kind of a disruption. And if you have it, you can pop it with Diagram or tribute it to get more draws with Heritage, so it's a must to have in the deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we play 2 Unchained Soul of Rage. It's a monster you want to summon during your as fast as possible. You need any Unchained and any other monster. So that's why Tour Guide is really good, because you can get any of your Unchained twins and summon this. And has the effect that during your opponent's main phase, you can target a special summon monster they control and link summon 1 Dark Link monster. And this way you can special summon any of your higher Link Unchained, or you can special summon any dark generic Link monster. And if it's destroyed, you get to target a fiend in the graveyard and add to your hand. So if your opponent deals with it before you can manage to link with them one of their monsters, then you also get one of your cards back, so it replaces itself no matter what happens. 2 Unchained Soul of Anguish. This card is a link 3 of the deck. It needs 2+ monsters, including any Unchained monster. So I think it's the one that helps you link again with your opponent's monsters. This is not a quick effect, but it's a card that link climbs into the link 4, which helps you break your opponent's board because the link 4 has a lot of popping abilities. And again, if it's destroyed, you get to get back from the graveyard. So I think it's one of the better ways to get to these. So the way you get to these with the Unchained Soul, so you need Disaster in order to make these. And with the ability to bring your level 3s from the deck with Tour Guide, or just summon them and pop them, you can get your Unchained Soul from the deck, and you keep recycling your Unchained Soul over and over again with all those cards you have, so you can keep making those monsters. And this is how you push for damage. That's how you deal with your opponent's board. Unfortunately, you cannot use the twins to link with them. You have to pop them, but this is not a problem for this deck, of course, because there are many ways to pop monsters. So that's why you need to keep track of how many souls you have used. So if you have the one in the grave and you keep one in the deck, you need to make sure your opponent doesn't deal with them, because then you will not be able to access your Unchained link monsters. And of course, this is a generic one, Unchained Abomination. Abomination is a generic link 4, but in this deck it has the particular use that it can destroy any cards, so you can destroy your own cards as well. But it has 3 different popping effects. If a card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy a card on the field. And when a monster is destroyed by battle, you also get destroyed on the field. And during the end phase, during every end phase, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. So it's a 3000 beater that keeps clearing boards, or can keep popping your own cards to get more monsters on the deck, so you can make more monsters. The only reason I don't play 3 copies of any of these is because if you cycle all of them twice, I think you should be winning, because there's no way your opponent is going to have enough cards after both of these 3 circles of monsters keep bringing the other monsters back and popping your own opponent's board. So I'm pretty sure 2 of each is perfectly fine. And now for the generic links, these monsters rarely come up because the deck has a lot of ways to pop cards on their own. The only monsters you're going to summon mostly are the dark monsters I'm going to show you from now on, but I have the other ones here just in case I need them. So the Nightmares Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. Unicorn is dark, which is specifically good for this deck, because you can summon it during your opponent's turn and get double disruption, not just by absorbing your opponent's monsters, but by also bouncing a card back. Frisbaena, really good. Again, it's a dark, and it can deal with all back row decks. If your opponent has a lot of back rows and you can find a way to resolve Frisbaena, this could be the game. And now for the Link Force, Bombur. Again, a monster that can be summoned with the Unchained monsters. If your opponent has a Link 2, then you can use both of them. You can use Soul of Rage and this to summon them. Apollosa. Apollosa is a weird card. Sometimes it can be useful, but it needs a very specific hand in order to be able to be used. But the deck doesn't have any inherent way of negating monster effects, so I think it's important to have her in here just in case. One Abramax, because you can summon Link monsters very easily with the deck, so you can summon Abramax, and there are some decks that just cannot deal with it. And the 2 Borals, these are both dark, so you can summon them even under the restriction of the monsters. But the problem with these is that they need 3+ monsters, so it's not like you can just use Soul of Rage and one your opponent's monsters, like a Link 2 or something, to make them. Unfortunately, you can't do that, so that's why Bombur is a little bit better in this deck than these 2. But again, these monsters are really good. Boral Sword helps you TK, because this deck sometimes can struggle dealing damage, and Borload is really good, especially against Thunder Dragons. So I think it's good enough to have in the deck. So yeah, this is the deck that I think how it should be played right now. It's very early still. There might come up a deck that is much better than this build. I'm not a perfectionist with this deck. I don't know exactly how to play it, but this is how I've come up to understand the deck so far. There could be things that I've missed. There could be things that I'm doing completely wrong, or there just could be this specific build that popped up in the OCG sometimes that it's the correct build to play. But until then, until we get some more info, until we see how the format unfolds, and until we see how more players deal with this deck, this is the deck that I've decided to show you. And I'm really sure you're going to enjoy the way it plays. It's a pretty fun deck. And again, they had 4 secrets, but again, it's Konami's idea. So if you can afford the deck, if you really like it, then you can give it a go and see how it goes. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.